Okay, what's it like to live and photograph Maine? Well, we went straight to the source. Juan Pons is one of the great photographers, lives in Bangor, and is going to tell us all about some of the great photo opportunities in Maine where he doesn't work during the summer because it's so amazing there. Now,
Right,
Juan,
yeah.
where should we start talking about Maine
Well, I guess
photographically?
it depends on where you're coming from. But you know what the crown jewel, if you will, photographically of Maine is Acadia National Park. Acadia National Park is one of the smallest parks in the national park system, yet is consistently on the top 10 visited parks in the country. Especially in the past few years, the attendance to Acadia has grown incredibly. And part of it is because, it's a day's drive from New York or Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, the whole Northeast. This is the one park that everybody goes to, but also because it is such a spectacular park. It's small, so it's manageable to see in just 3 or 4 days. You can see all of it. And the coast in Maine is just a spectacular, coast. I put the coast of Maine against any coast, even West Coast coast. Absolutely, it is that spectacular. And Acadia has all the elements of a Maine coast, from lighthouse to rocks to granite to mountains to sand beaches even.
Okay, and I'll give you your coast in the optimum months.
Yes, absolutely. You got to be here in during that window, which is for me, I want to say June through September. That is just absolutely best time to be in Maine. You can go a little earlier than that, especially if you're on the coast. You don't want to be inland in May because there's lots of bugs that will want to suck you dry. But around the coast, you're fine because of the breeze that's coming in. So yeah, you got to be here for the right time, June through September. My favorite time of year to be in the coastal Maine, to go to Acadia, is September, early October, because you may get a little bit of foliage color in Acadia in early October as well.
Now, what are some of your favorite photo spots at the national park?
Well, I mean, my favorite is Otter Cliffs, which is, and Pebble Beach, or Boulder Beach, I should say. Boulder Beach is this beach that has this incredible boulders in the foreground with this really sheer cliff on the background, and you shoot that at sunrise, and it's just a spectacular location, especially when you have a tide coming in. You get a lot of wave action coming in onto that rock. Cadillac Mountain is a perennial favorite. People love to go up to Cadillac Mountain. Is the place in the U.S. where light hits the country the first out of any place in the U.S. because of the altitude. It's not the easternmost part of the U.S., but it is because of the altitude is where the light hits first. So you can go up there and catch some spectacular sunrises or sunsets. And because of the location, you also get this incredible fog that comes in and envelops the mountain, envelops the town below, and the ocean as well. So you got some incredible views. And if you're into night photography or watching stars, it is one of the darkest places to be in the East Coast. If you're looking to photograph or look at the stars, it is a spectacular location.
Okay, so no light pollution, right?
No, very, very little light pollution, because you're
Now,
right. The ocean is, Acadia is on an island that you drive to. You don't have to take a boat. It's on an island. So it's kind of more isolated, and the town lights are blocked by, depending on which angle you look at.
okay, so when I think Maine photography, I think cute, amazing old New England towns and
Yes.
great old
Yep.
buildings. And I think lobster, and I think fish, and I think fishermen or
Yep.
fisherwomen. It's a term that's
Yep.
never used,
Yep.
but let's open it up. And lighthouses.
So yeah, I mean, I forget how many lighthouses there are. There are tons of lighthouses in Maine. I think it's something like 40. And I've seen a lot of them. I know for sure that I've seen most of them that are on land. There's some that you have to take a boat out to go to. And you and I spoke about the Portland Head Lighthouse, which is an absolutely spectacular lighthouse. It's on a rocky promontory outside of Portland. So it's really easy to get to, especially if you're in the southern part of New England. Um, and it's a beautiful lighthouse with just an incredible backdrop of the ocean. And it's one of the most popular and photographed lighthouses in Maine, but it is not my favorite. My favorite is West Quoddy Head Lighthouse, which is very, very far north. It's actually the easternmost lighthouse in the continental US, because it's really far east, even though it's called West Quoddy. It's on the very far east part of Maine in the very far north. As a matter of fact, it's just less than half a mile from the Canadian border. And what I love about that is the setting. It's also another rugged setting, but it has these candy stripes along the whole lighthouse that just makes it, stunning and very beautiful to look at. But there's tons of other incredibly awesome lighthouses, some little, some small. One of my other favorites is, I'm sure you've seen it, most people have seen it, is the one in the Forrest Gump scene. When Forrest Gump is crossing from the West Coast to the East Coast, and he reaches the East Coast, and he walks up to our lighthouse and then looks around, turns back, and starts running west again. And that's called Marshall Point Lighthouse. And it's near Cushing in Maine. And it's, again, a spectacular lighthouse that I love to shoot also with the Milky Way behind.
Well, since we're talking Maine, you have such a deep, thick New England accent. You clearly grew up there. You were born and bred in Maine and never left. No, seriously. So how did you end up
No.
in Maine?
I came here because of family. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I went to school in Massachusetts. So my accent is all messed up between, Puerto Rican accent and Massachusetts accent. And then I lived in North Carolina for a while, and then came back to Maine for family. And now I'm here in the frigid white north of Maine. It is absolutely beautiful state, especially in the summer. As you said, I take my summers off. I'm lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to do that, so that I can enjoy the summers. And then I travel around a lot during the winter months. Right now we have, I don't know, like about a foot of snow on the ground. It's about 25 degrees, and we're expecting another storm in a few days.
And 25 degrees is like summer for you, right?
25 degrees is kind of normal. We've had years where it was minus 20 for a week straight. That was pretty brutal. But sometimes we'll get days that are 30. Today's really sunny, which is also kind of not all that usual. New England is known for the gray days in the winter. So we suffer through those for sure.
Well, tell everybody about the joy of living in Bangor and Maine, and what you love about it.
Well, one of the best things, and what people get flabbergasted about, is how cheap lobster is. Lobster, last time I bought some, I think it was $3.50 a pound. Just think about that, how cheap lobster is and how abundant it is. I've had it where I bought it for as low as $2.50 a pound. So that is a huge perk for living in Maine, especially if you love seafood. Lots of seafood. You're close to the ocean. Well, at least I am close to the ocean. I'm about less than an hour away from the ocean. Some incredible coastlines and incredible vistas. I'm also very close to the interior of Maine, which has some beautiful woods and lakes. We look to go boating a lot, and canoeing, kayaking, and camping, and that's one of the things that we love doing. So it's a very much an outdoor state. Even in the winters, lots of snowmobiling. I have actually a snowmobile trail that goes right by my house that you can take and go for hundreds of miles on your snowmobile. And there's a lot of ice fishing as well if you're into that.
And even in the Great White North, they deliver cameras to you. FedEx
They
shows up
do.
at the door, right?
Yeah. B&H delivers cameras here in 2 days. So
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, but it does take you a while to get to Yellowstone. That would probably be the only negative, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, travel is somewhat challenging because Maine is not a large state, so the flights are kind of limited to getting. I think especially now with COVID, I used to have more options with pre-COVID. Now with COVID, some of the airlines have cut back a little bit, so the connections are about half what they used to be. So it's still a little bit hard. So anything that I do in New England, even down to New York, I will drive. Even down to Pennsylvania, I may even drive just because it's a little easier. But anything outside of that, I definitely have to, count on a full day of flying for sure.
Right. I think one day we should trade positions for a minute, because I live 3 miles from the airport, and then
Oh,
I live one
yeah.
mile from the beach. So I'll go live in Maine for a few weeks, and you can live out here, and we'll just see how it goes.
There you go. Except, I'm not so fond of big cities. So I
Oh,
like,
I don't live. This is my big city right behind me.
oh, okay. Well, that's great. So that's right. You live, I forgot. That's right. I didn't think for some reason, for a minute, I thought you lived like in LA itself, but
No,
no.
no, no. I live in a beach city with 35,000 people, so
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I could do that for sure.
I walk
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Tell everybody about photographing Bangor beyond standing in the corner waiting for Stephen King to walk by, or shooting some of his locations. What would some of the photos that you'd want to do in Bangor be?
Well, when I I moved about a couple of years ago, and I live just outside of Bangor now. But when I lived in Bangor, Stephen King was my neighbor. He lived on my street, a couple of blocks from me, but really just down the street from me. And it's actually, his house is quite interesting. If you're ever in Bangor, you got to check it out for sure. But the Penobscot River goes right through the heart of Bangor. There's the Kenduskeag stream that comes down the river, comes down the middle of Bangor, and merges with the Penobscot River. And that whole area, the river itself, is absolutely spectacular. So the city itself is right alongside the Penobscot River. We have waterfront concerts that take place at the concert venue that's right on the water, right on the river itself. Lots of boats going by, lots of wildlife that frequents the river as well. Plus, we have a couple of other locations that are really, if you're more nature minded like myself, that you can go and photograph. We have this incredibly beautiful bog outside the city that has this huge boardwalk that you can go around and photograph all sorts of birds. You can photograph all sorts of interesting plants, a lot of carnivorous plants. You have a lot of pitcher plants and Venus flytraps, things of that nature in there as well. That is a lot of fun. But Bangor itself, the downtown area, is filled with characters. If you're into that kind of work, it's neat to spend a little bit of time, especially in the warmer months in downtown Bangor. And we do have some really spectacular canoe races that take place in Bangor that come right through down the Kenduskeag stream down into Bangor. That's another thing to also photograph in the spring or to participate. I've done that race a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun.
All righty. That sounds like something that would make you excited about the snow melting. Right?
Yeah, I like winter, but it does get to you after a while. I'm just dying for spring to be here. I'm dying for this snow to melt and be able to get back out on the boat out on the water.
Well, I envy you getting to take the summer off in Maine, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
I know that, I've looked up coming in the summer a few times, and prices go through the roof.
Absolutely. It's called vacation land for a reason. Summer is, the population of Maine swells in the summer, not just from visitors, but there's a lot of people in southern New England, like Massachusetts or New York, that have summer homes up here. And a lot of people come up here to spend the summers, or at least part of the summer. So yeah, it does get pretty pricey.
Okay, well, hopefully I'll get there this summer. Now, can we see pictures of some of your Maine photos on your website?
I'm not so maybe one or two. I don't have as many there because I don't run as many workshops in Yellowstone and in Maine. The workshop that I mostly run in Maine is in Acadia, so I will have some pictures of Acadia there. But I don't have so many of other random places in Maine, but I can send you those so you can show people if you want.
Okay, well, that'd be great. Otherwise, be sure to go to juanpons.org to check out his Acadia National Park shots, as well as all those great wildlife shots from Yellowstone and other places. Find out about Juan's next photo workshop on his website, juanpons.org. Many of them are sold out, but he's got some openings. And if you're willing to go into next year, into 2022, you'll have plenty of openings, I hope, right?
2022 is getting a little busy. 2023 is going to be when you're going to see some openings.
Okay, and if you see the pictures on his website, you'll know it's worth looking forward to. This has been a Photowalk Talks episode with Juan Pons, and I'm Jefferson Graham. Look for me on Twitter where I'm at Jefferson Graham. Thanks everybody for watching and listening.